Chapter 9. Stars and Space-Time. An impressed whistle slides through Micah's teeth, and he exclaims, "Sure picked a beauty of a castle for yourself, didn't ya?" He gawks at the marble-floored foyer as he enters Sophia's house with the rest from the train. Overhead hangs a magnificent chandelier whose dangling crystals project 1,000 rainbows onto a regal staircase. "I guess I have fancy tastes," Sophia replies cheerily. "When I was little, our house was tiny, and I always wanted a huge one like this. I'm glad it'll be filled with people for a change." When Sophia first came to Genesee, a ritzy town nestled in the foothills above Denver, this palatial home was the fanciest one she could find. For a while she felt like a princess coming home to her castle. But lately her castle has seemed cold and hollow. After living in the multi-million-dollar mansion for 2 years, she no longer appreciates its cedar and granite grandeur the way she once did. One of Sophia's wall decorations, a framed sheet of ancient brown paper, catches Micah's attention. He can't hide his surprise as he stammers, "Is that the Declaration of Independence? Like the original?" Sophia reddens with guilt and says, "Yeah, I didn't think anyone would care." Micah beams with admiration for her spunk and asks, "What else you got in here? Rosetta Stone? Ark of the Covenant?" She giggles and replies, "No, not those. Not yet, anyway. But there's lots of other cool stuff I've set up around the house. You can wander around and look if you want." "Thank you for having us, Sophia," Ettore says cordially. "We appreciate your hospitality." Sophia can't help but speculate about the beat-up suitcase he carries at his side. Though he never seems to open it, she's noticed that he always keeps it close. Even in the train's tight quarters, he either held it on his lap or placed it on the floor firmly between his feet. What could possibly be inside that's so valuable, she wonders. But such questions will have to wait until later. Presently, the half-light of early evening filters through the home's high windows. She knows it will be dark before long, so she tells the others, "You can find whatever room you want to sleep in. You'll probably be able to tell which one is mine. But we'll need electricity for showers and lights tonight, so I'm going to get the generator running." As Sophia exits through the spacious kitchen and into the 4-car garage, she overhears a squeal of girlish excitement. "I can't remember the last time I had a shower," Kyla delightedly exclaims. Though no one can see it, Sophia grins. During the past 24 hours, she has fallen in love. This strange collection of people from 2 different continents certainly terrified her at first. But once they put their misunderstandings and suspicions aside, it amazed her how quickly they started feeling like family. The twins, Kyla and Kira Alexander, may look alike, but are complete opposites. Kyla is sunny and upbeat, while Kira is a calming blend of reserved and serious, sad and kind. The first is a puppy, the second a cat. Then there is Micah. Gabriel still doesn't trust him after his rough handling in Las Vegas, but Sophia finds him entertaining. He makes jokes, most of them so corny she cringes, whenever he can. He has the wide, toothy smile of a cartoon character, and it doesn't take much for him to display it. He and the twins were the first of the group to band together. Almost a year ago they stumbled upon one another, and the 3 have been together ever since. Dario Fingir is the only one Sophia doesn't care for, but she supposes that every family has its obnoxious uncle. Dario is foul-mouthed and as ill-tempered as a sunburned rattlesnake. She prefers him operating the train, where he stays far away from the rest of them. Ettore constantly apologizes for the Spaniard and claims she'll warm up to him sooner or later. Sophia isn't so confident. Then there is Ettore himself. The suit-loving Italian is gentle, calm, and affable. Although he appears to be in his 30s, the bronze-skinned ringleader has an almost grandfatherly aura about him. Perhaps it's the way he takes time to talk to shy, nervous Gabriel, or how quietly he reads his dusty books with a contented grin. Whatever the case, it has taken only a day for him to steal her heart entirely. They've known each other such a short time, but Sophia knows she will do anything to hold on to this feeling, because it's the feeling of family. It's the feeling of belonging, of acceptance, of friendship. It's a feeling she hasn't experienced for ages, a feeling she never expected to have again. Once the generator is running and pumping electricity into the house, Sophia returns indoors. There are 5 showers in the mansion, and it isn't long before all are in use. As Sophia herself rinses away the sweat and grime of the last few days, she feels reborn, like when a reptile sheds its old skin and clothes itself in a new one. She's an altogether different person, with a fresh life and a future full of infinite and exciting possibilities. At twilight, Sophia butchers 3 of her precious chickens. Kyla and Kira combine the tender fillets with tomatoes from the garden and dried herbs to create a mouth-watering main course. With it, they serve a steaming pot of buttery mashed potatoes, and everybody eats until they're stuffed. After dinner, on a table tennis-sized television, they watch Star Wars, Micah's pick. He hadn't yet seen the groundbreaking movie before he slipped 5 decades forward in time. The only one who doesn't watch the whole movie is Dario. He grunts his disapproval after only 5 minutes and retreats upstairs to bed. Gabriel, whose parents thought he was too young to see it, watches the entire movie open-mouthed and unblinking. "I'm going to bed," Kira announces when the movie's final credits start rolling. "I'm with you," her twin announces. After peeling herself from the leather sofa, she turns to Sophia and says, "Thanks for the shower and the chicken, Soph. Good night, everyone." The 12-year-old's heart flutters. Now she even has a nickname. "May the force be with you," Micah quips dreamily as he exits behind the twins. "Are you going to bed too?" Gabriel asks Ettore. The Italian pats a time-worn, leather-bound book sitting on the sofa beside him and replies, "I think perhaps I will stay up and read a while." "What's the book about?" Gabriel inquires. "Old tales and rumors about the Antikythera device," Ettore answers plainly. "I do not know how much is real and how much is legend. Usually the truth is somewhere in the middle, but some of it may end up being quite useful." Out of nowhere, Gabriel asks, "Do you think I can find my mom and dad again?" Ettore winces like he's been stung by a bee. The faintest shimmer of tears gives his eyes a glassy sheen as he replies, "I hope so, Gabriel. I hope so more than anything." "Me too," the boy says. Then, without another word, he hops off the sofa and leaves. Bixby totters alongside him, and together they head upstairs to bed. "I turn off the generator at night," Sophia says, also rising from her couch seat. "So I don't know how long you'll be able to read. I've got it connected to a battery, so there's always some power left in the system afterward, but the lights'll go out once that's dead." "It is no problem," Ettore replies with his genial grin. "Thank you, and good night." After shutting down the generator, Sophia heads upstairs to her bedroom. She has decorated it to be as homey and cozy as possible. Pictures of her family hang on the walls, most of them from summer vacations. Every year they would decide as a family where to go. For a whole week they enjoyed each other's company, usually somewhere they could camp, fish, and escape from the loud and busy world. As she looks at them now, her mother's kind eyes stir together the emotions of sorrow and warmth in her breast. Her dad's rugged, handsome face makes her feel both safe and lonely all at once. Her grinning brothers Darius and Eric, one older and one younger, stare out at her through the pane of glass. She remembers how some days with them were perfect, while on others she wished she could kill them. Now she would kill to have even the kill them days back. In her private bathroom, Sophia brushes her teeth for 3 full minutes, just like her dentist mom taught her. Then she slips under her bed covers and switches off the lamp. Maybe it's too weird trying to sleep without Bixby next to her, or maybe it's because the quilt she always snuggled with, the one her mom made, stayed in Vegas with the motorhome. Whatever the reasons, Sophia tosses and turns for close to an hour until she hears the hum of electricity in the walls pop and then die in silence. 15 sleepless minutes later, she is out of bed again, navigating her way carefully through the dark hallway, down the stairs, out the front door, and into the chilly night air. Wearing her fuzzy socks, she shuffles down the front walk and driveway. There she stops and cranes her neck heavenward. The electric band of the Milky Way stretches above her like the trillion-mile tentacle of some immense space squid. She feels both infinitesimally small and larger than life as she holds the galaxy's billion stars in her marble-sized eyes. It is beautiful, no? A sharp cry of surprise escapes Sophia's lips when she hears the voice. She is not alone, as she thought. "I'm sorry," Ettore exclaims from nearby. "I thought you followed me and knew I was here. The lights went out, so I stepped outside for some fresh air before bed." "No, I'm okay," Sophia assures him, even though her heart is playing xylophone on her ribs. "Do you come out here often at night?" he asks. "Yeah, pretty much whenever I can't sleep. I'd watch TV probably, but it's too much work to get the generator going again, especially in the dark." Both man and girl stare upward in silence. Then Sophia asks the question that's been nagging her for more than 2 years. "What do you think happened to us?" Ettore stares at her. "What do you mean?" "Why did we slip forward through time? How did it happen?" Ettore doesn't answer her directly. Instead, he asks, "Did you know that I was one of the brightest physicists in the world during the 1930s? Sophia stares at him blankly. "It's true," he promises, with the quaver of a chuckle in his voice. "At least the brightest one of my age. I have read there were even subatomic particles named after me, ones I had theorized before my disappearance. My point is not to boast, but to say that of all the people who might be left on this planet, you could not have asked your question of a more knowledgeable person than myself." He pauses, frowning, then says, "But all I have are theories. And not even those, really. It is probably more honest to call them guesses. The truth is that time has acted in a way that neither I nor anyone else could have predicted. Time flows along, and we flow through it, correct? This has always been the way of the universe. But we human beings failed to realize something. Just because something always has been a certain way, this does not mean it must always continue in that same way." "Sorry," interrupts Sophia. "I'm not following." "We thought time would continue flowing a certain way because it always has flowed a certain way, according to humanity's limited knowledge at least," Ettore explains. "Do you understand that?" Sophia nods. Ettore continues. "Then the normal flow of time changed, for some of us anyway, almost like a stream running into a large rock. Most of the stream goes one direction, while a small part breaks off in another. At some point, you and I and the others broke away from the main stream, while the rest of the world continued along the normal flow of time." "Okay," says Sophia uncertainly. She understands his words, but she doesn't know what his point is. "I believe that the rock in our time stream was the sun," says Ettore. "More specifically, I think intense and rapid changes in the sun's mass ripped holes in the fabric of space-time. This caused some of us to slip away from the normal flow of time and forward into the present." "Whoa, slow down," says Sophia. The fabric of space-time? What's that? Ettore ponders how he can communicate the idea, then illustrates by saying, imagine 4 people holding the 4 corners of a bedsheet so that it is stretched very tight. Physical space and time are like the fibers of that sheet, all woven together and holding strong. Okay, mutters Sophia, trying her hardest to follow him. Now imagine that a bowling ball is placed into the middle of that sheet, continues Ettore. The fibers near the bowling ball are now pulled further apart than the fibers near the 4 corners of the sheet, because that is where they are under the greatest strain. Now imagine that somebody throws a handful of debris onto the sheet. Sand, pebbles, sticks, and leaves. Will the pebbles, sticks, and leaves be able to pass through the stretched fibers to the other side of the sheet? Sophia shakes her head and answers, probably not. Correct, says Ettore. But what about the smallest particles of sand? Might they pass through to the other side? The long illustration suddenly clicks for Sophia. Yes, she replies. Some of them probably would. That is what I think happened to us, concludes Ettore. I believe there were a few places where the fibers of space-time were stretched too wide, allowing people, who are relatively small in the cosmic scheme of things, to slip through. Again, it is just a theory, but I do believe this could explain our present situation. But what about everyone else? Sophia asks. The billions of people that were on Earth. Could the fabric have stretched enough to let all of them slip to a different period in time? That is what I was hinting toward when I first began talking about space-time, the physicist answers. Go back to the bowling ball. What if the ball began rapidly changing its weight, becoming heavier and lighter and heavier and lighter? What would happen? I guess it would start bouncing up and down, Sophia responds after a moment's thought, and maybe even tear the sheet. Precisely. Then much more would pass through to the other side. Maybe not the entire Earth, but perhaps all of puny humankind. But how could that happen? Sophia asks. I mean, with the sun. How could it gain and lose mass that fast? Again, this is all theory, Ettore answers. But if there were great ejections in the form of solar flares, the sun could lose great amounts of mass very quickly. Then, if the sun's own gravity pulled most of that mass back into itself, it regains that mass, again very quickly. During an especially active period of this, the damage to space-time might have been enough to send humanity away from the normal flow of time to somewhere else. Some time else. And this Antikythera device, Sophia deduces, finally connecting all the dots. You think it can make those holes too? Holes that let us travel through time? Ettore offers her a sheepish grin and says, I know what it sounds like. But yes, I do. And it won't be random travel, random slips to goodness knows where. The Antikythera device will allow for controlled time travel. If it works, it means we all go home again. But in order to find the different pieces of the device, you need that Book of Relics thing, right? It would certainly help, Ettore says, although I do not think it is 100% necessary. There are other clues which could lead us to the general locations of the relics. The Latin phrases below the red dots, the ones you saw in the map room, provide such clues. Many of the books I've read give hints as well. So why do you need the Book of Relics? Asks Sophia. Right now, we are a bit like people grasping around a dark cave, replies Ettore. We don't know the relics' exact locations, nor do we even know what they will look like. The book would answer many of those questions, allowing us to obtain the relics much more quickly. Without it, the search could take many days at any one of those 11 locations. Will you let me and Gabriel go with you? Sophia blurts the question before she can stop herself, even though she already knows what Ettore's answer will be. I cannot make that decision on my own, he replies. Tomorrow I will discuss it with my people. But I can promise you this. Even if we do not bring you to find the relics, I will come back for you when our task is done. I will bring you home again. The Italian physicist rubs his chilled arms and says, Let's return indoors. We both need sleep. Tomorrow is an important day. Inside, Ettore says goodnight and retreats to his bedroom. Sophia returns to her own bed and burrows under the warmth of her covers. Comforted by Ettore's answers to her many questions, she falls immediately asleep.